Now, the next topic of our discussion is reversibility and irreversibility. So, first of all, what is a reversible process? Then, irreversible process. First of all, I will take the irreversible process by an example. Students, just take a cup of hot coffee, and now, since it is very hot, and by virtue of temperature difference, heat will be transferring from the hot cup of coffee to the colder environment. Let it be an ambient temperature whose temperature is much below than the that of hot coffee. Now the all the heat from the hot coffee will dissipate into the colder environment, and your coffee will cool down. Now the question arises, is it possible to heat up your coffee by extracting the heat sent dissipated into atmosphere? Now you will laugh and say, sir, how it is possible? It is the this question is somewhat like a joke. Okay, so this was one of the example of irreversible process. Okay, now the second example, just now somewhat a technical one. You know that a wire heats up as the current is passed. You must have observed this, and someone have might also sense it. Okay, this surface is now heated up because of current being passed. A very common phenomena, which I think you must some of you have uh, sense or observe or have a common or seen it. Now again, somewhat an unusual question to all of you: can the heat dissipated by the wire, which is hot due to current being passed, be returned to wire? Just listen the whole question. Now the heat which is being dissipated into atmosphere by that hot wire is, if I any mechanism extract that heat, send that heat to the wire, and can the current flow through it? But obvious, no, it is not possible. You also know that, and you will laugh at me. That's how it is possible. That if it was so, then the whole electricity power substation will collapse, and nothing will remain there, and we will get electricity free of cost. So, students, this is an irreversible process. All these two examples show irreversibility, or in other words, all the processes move in a certain direction. So this particular statement is a subject matter of module second. So I will not touch that part now. Coming to the irreversible process. Now another few examples. As you know that if the fluid if a fluid flows over a surface, now some going into a technical details, so that now you may be aware of all these things. If a fluid flows over a surface, let it be a hot fluid over a surface, then heat will be transferred to that surface. Okay, a very common phenomena that okay, if a hot fluid is flowing on a surface, then heat will transfer, some of the heat will be transferred to the surface. So the heat, now the temperature of the surface will rise, and the temperature of the fluid will go down. This is also an irreversible process. Why? Because that heat cannot be extracted. Similarly, you might have seen another and the last example, then I will come to an irreversible process. Similarly, now assume you have seen, just look up your fan, your ceiling fan, or a pedestal fan, an automobile engine. Now I'm taking the example of ceiling fan. Ceiling fan shaft rotates on a ball bearing. You must be aware of what a bearing is. You must all have seen. If you touch that bearing, then it is hot enough. Why? Because of friction. What is the call basically need of bearing? To reduce the friction. But there is, due to some friction, heat is generated and that is liberated. Can we extract that heat? Certainly not. So all these comes under the category of irreversible processes. Now, if all these are reversible, then what is reversible? So a reversible process means if by any means all these things, for example, a hot cup of coffee which is being cold, if the heat given to the atmosphere is extracted and coffee is again heated back to its original state, then it is a reversible process. So now you have understood that reversible processes, yeah, reversible processes are ideal. Reversible processes do not occur in nature. Now come to the paragraph. So just to do a sequence of operations. So an irreversible process is one in which the initial state of the system cannot be reached back after attaining the final state. So a very technical statement. Now I think I might clear with you what this statement means. So look up the statement once again and correlate with the diagram given here. What is this? An irreversible process is one in which the initial state of the system, so here initial state is 1, cannot be reached back after attaining the final state. That means if a process is occurring from state 1 to, sorry for that, if a process is occurring from state 1 to state 2, and if I want to return again back to state 1, then an irreversible process means that it says that we cannot reach state 1 again. We will end up somewhere here, that is at state 1 dash or 1 prime. So this is known as irreversible process. Now correlating with our coffee example, just look up that uh, my coffee or our coffee is at state 1. Due to ambient temperature, due to heat loss to ambient temperature, it reaches state 2. So if I again heat it up by some mechanism, then it will end up somewhere by adding heat to 1 dash if I give it some amount of heat. So that means same, it is not at the same level. That means point 1 and point 1 dash do not coincide. Therefore, it is an irreversible process. So what does it mean? That an irreversible process, as shown in the diagram, after expansion from state 1 to state 2, has followed a different path 2 to 1 dash during compression. Okay, so expansion and compression you will be studying more in detail in your third module. So till now you can just understand that if a system is being expanded, if a system is expanded or gas is expanded and we again compress it, then it point 1 and point 1 dash will not coincide. What are the reasons you will be taught in your say module second and further in module 3 also. Now what are the conditions of a process to be reversible and causes of reversibility? uh, that means how a process can be assumed to be reversible, or in other words, uh, what causes irreversibility. So in a reversible process, any energy transferred during expansion has to be transferred back during compression. This is an essential requirement of the power to be process to be reversible. So what does this mean? In simple words, if your coffee is being cooled down, then the whole heat, then if you want to heat it again, then it should be extracted from, then the heat should be extracted from the environment and sent it to the coffee, then only that process can be reversible. So this particular paragraph means this only. Now the next statement: since the expansion and compression generally take place in cylinder, some energy is expanded in overcoming friction between piston and cylinder. So they are saying that the energy being consumed in overcoming the friction between the piston and cylinder cannot be brought back into the system. This friction between the two parts is being dissipated in the form of heat, and this heat cannot be brought back to the system in any form. So this type of process is irreversible. So that's they are saying. Just look at that. The frictional energy converts heat which cannot be recovered. So what I've said you just now, and I've also cited the example of ball bearing and a shaft, that why the ball bearing is used and why it gets heated up. Hence the following conditions are necessary for a process to be reversible. Mind that it is a reversible. What are the conditions? Although these conditions are totally ideal and does not exist in nature, but uh, then you can ask, sir, why we are studying these processes if they do not exist in nature? Then the reason behind that is because these set up the these process reversal processes set up the datum, the reference, that how much deviation does our system how much deviation does our system are deviate our system. That means under ideal condition, for example, a system is 100% efficient, but under actual condition it is performing, for example, 60%, 40 50%. Then we say that a deviation of 40% is there, so we will try to reduce that 40% deviation. So that's why we are studying this point, because they tell us the deviations, how much deviation is present in our system, and we should look up that to minimize these deviation. Although they can, our existing system can never reach to the ideal, but we want to still we want to still to that our system come close to the ideal ones. So coming back to the topic, first of all, the process should be frictionless. So one of the main feature for for the reversal process. Why? Because due to friction, heat is being generated, and this is sent into atmosphere. Now, as you know, as the is being dissipated into atmosphere, then it can't be sent back to the system. Hence, the process is again reversible. Therefore, it is written here the process should be frictionless for the process to be reversible. Second point, they should not there should not be any non-recoverable heat. So what does this mean? What is the word non-recoverable heat means? Non-recoverable means, now again, just see your hot cup of coffee case. The heat which is being dissipated to the atmosphere because of the temperature difference, since that heat cannot be recovered, that's why the process is irreversible. Now the statement, there should be not be any non-recoverable, a negative statement, not be any non-recoverable. That means the heat which is being dissipated into atmosphere can be recovered from the atmosphere, then that process is reversible. So again, you can see that it is an impossible statement that we can recover the heat which is being lost into atmosphere. Third statement, the flow of medium should be quite slow. So why quite slow? Sorry for that. Why slow process is being said here? The reason, because as you proceed further in your second year or third year courses, if you are a mechanical engineer, then you will be taught that fluid is formed by fluid flows in layers, and due to friction between layers, a heat is generated. So the more the rapid motion, the more the heat is being generated between two layers. So that's why here the statement is said the flow of medium should be quite slow. So if the flow of medium is slow enough, then heat will generated will be minimum or very less. And again the next line follows, so that no turbulence develops. Turbulence means waviness, fast flow, very fast flow, and almost a thermostatic state is reached. Thermostatic state means a constant temperature and flow is there. Last statement, after the process, the system and the surrounding should be free from any occurrence. So what does this mean? This means, again taking the example of a cup of coffee, if I said that coffee is being cooled down due to the temperature difference between the hot coffee and the cold atmosphere, then it is said that if any after the process, that means if I extract the whole heat from the atmosphere, put it back into the coffee, and coffee again heats up. So that means there are no traces available of the traces available of what? Of the coffee, sorry, of the heat that is being dissipated by the heat. Since no traces are available, therefore the statement that is written, after the process, the system and the surrounding should be free from any occurrences. That means the surrounding should never recognize that okay, heat is the this amount is being this heat is being rejected by the cup of coffee. Hopefully, you had understood what I mean to say. Although I do agree that this topic is very tough, and it needs a very detailed analysis, but I've tried a little bit to so that you can understand this topic. What does the reversible and irreversible process means? Now, a comparison between the reversible and irreversible processes is shown here. Just rotating the page. Now you can see this. I am enlarging it so that it can be visualize. You can visualize it. Hopefully, now it's clear to you. Now, a better picture. Now what they are saying that first of all, description is nature of the process. So reversible processes are totally theoretical in nature. They are not practically identifiable, as I have told you earlier, while irreversible processes are real. This you might have now understood that reversible processes are real in nature. Second point, possibility of reversible energy transfer. That means can any, what does this statement means? This statement means that is there any possibility of energy that is being dissipated into atmosphere that comes back? So you know that in reversible process it is yes, and for irreversible it is an impossible case. Third, state of the system. State of the system, reversible processes always exist in equilibrium, while irreversible processes are always non-equilibrium. Third, after effect on system and surrounding. So what does this statement mean? This statement means that if the cup of coffee is being heated, sorry, is cooled and then again heated, then it means there are no traces on the atmosphere, sorry, in the atmosphere. So therefore, no effect on system and surrounding. While in irreversible process, you know that traces are always there. you can recognize this one. The last is examples they are written. Example of frictionless expansion and compression. Now it is an hypothetical statement and irreversible processes with mixing. It is an highly reversible process. Mixing, mixing cold water with hot water, so that heat which is being liberated in the atmosphere cannot be get back. So it is a highly reversible process. So hopefully you have understood what I mean to say with regards to reversible and irreversible process. Now coming back to the my topic, just wait for a second. So coming back to our next topic, the next topic is characteristics of work and heat. So very simple statements are there. You must be knowing what are these characteristics. Just have a look over them. So characteristics of work: it cannot be stored in a system. Its existence remains on until the energy is transferred. That it means once the work is done, energy is transferred and its existence vanish. What does this mean? This means that if the energy is transferred to another system, then its existence within the system vanishes. A somewhat typical statement. I just want to explain it in this manner that if a piston is in a closed piston cylinder device, if a gas is heated, so that piston moves. So as the piston moves, due to the energy given by the gas, so the gas, so what does this means? That gas has transferred its energy to the piston, hence the energy within the gas vanishes. So that's the statement here. So and third, work is not a property of the system. You might be now aware of this. And last, it may be a positive or negative quantity. In the same fashion, characteristics of heat, it is not a property of system. It is a path function. Now you must be knowing that it is a path function. It may be positive or negative. The same thing what the work is having. And heat is energy interaction due to temperature difference only. So if there is no temperature difference, then no heat transfer can take place. Now coming to some basic definitions which are associated with the ideal gas laws. Just so first now these are very basics and you must be knowing that. Just brushing Boyle's law. You know that P is inversely proportional to V. That means as the pressure increases, volume decreases, and that's a statement for a given mass of perfect gas. You must now be aware that these laws are only for ideal gases only. So for a given mass of gas at constant temperature, the volume is inversely proportional to absolute pressure. This is, and when temperature is constant, so this you can see here that as the pressure decreases, volume increases. Okay, and an important point, it represents an isothermal process. Now what is an isothermal process? An isothermal process means a constant temperature process. Now coming to the next definition, Charles law. You know that for in a what a Charles law said, that volume is directly proportional to temperature for a given constant pressure. So it is there. Also volume is directly proportional to absolute temperature. So it is written here, and the corresponding diagram. Now the next statement is compressibility factor. Now what does the compressibility factor means? This is somewhat an advancement. Compressibility factor means that how much the real gases show deviation with respect to ideal gas, that are represented by a compressibility factor. So real gases show an ideal gas behavior under pressure is reasonably low and temperature is relatively high. At other conditions of the temperature and pressure, they deviate considerably from ideal gas behavior. Students, you must be knowing that why a real gases are considered at very low pressure because of van der Waals equation constant. Sorry, one because at very low pressure and temperature, the molecules are very far apart and does not interact with each other. So this you must be knowing from your intermediate physics level course. Anyway, the third point, the one method for correcting the ideal gas equation is through a compressibility factor correction. The compressibility factor may be defined as ratio of actual specific volume to the ideal gas specific volume. So this is the compressibility factor V actual upon V ideal. Thus, compressibility factor measures the departure of a real gas from ideal gas behavior. The law of corresponding states, it states that the compressibility factor for all gases is approximately the same when the gases have the same reduced pressure and reduced temperature. So here a new word is being introduced to you, reduced pressure and reduced temperature. So what are they? They are denoted by PR and TR. And what does this means? PR is equal to pressure upon critical pressure and TR means temperature upon critical temperature. These terms you will be taught in module second. So at present just giving you the definitions. Now the properties of mixture. What is that? You know that the conservation of law mass and that's here. If a homogeneous mixture is made up of various distinct chemical species which has a unique molecular composition, then mass of each chemical species present in the mixture is this. So a simple mass balance equation that M1, M2, M3, M2 is equal to this or can be written in this fashion. Now the next is in terms here one thing is there, this is mass equation. Moles, in terms of moles also it can be written. So it is written in terms of moles and hence this mixture is usually described by mass basis. The mass fraction of is mixture upon this one. Now coming to the next definition. The next definition is Dalton's law of partial pressure. You must be knowing this one, that the total pressure exerted by a mixture of inert ideal gases is the sum of partial pressure of the individual component gases in the mixture if it exerted alone at that temperature and volume. And so this is you must be knowing that if I take a gas and put it in a cylinder and measure it pressure and put another gas and measure it and then put all the gases all the three gases in a again in a container, then the pressure exerted individually by each will be equal to the sum of all these gases. Now the next statement is Avogadro's law. Now what is that? Avogadro's law: the total volume of a mixture of inert ideal gas is the sum of partial volume of the individual component gas in the mixture if it exists alone at the mixture temperature. So same here it is in terms of volume, here it is in terms of pressure. Now this is a comparison between an ideal gas and a real gases. Only main things are being highlighted down. You can just note it down. This is an important thing. Just look up these. Uh, so starting ideal gases versus real gases. Then what is the, this is parameter on which it is being judged. This is ideal gas and this is a real gas.